Welcome to this week's installment of the Recruiting Visit. I'm John Serenitas, and I'm joined by my partner, Matt Feld. And tonight, we are joined by Central Catholic quarterback Ayden Pereira. Ayden, how are you this evening?
I'm doing good. How about you? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, we're doing well, my friend, and thank you for taking the time to join us. I know you were a busy man today, and let's just jump right into it. You were at the URI camp tonight. How did that go for you?
That went well. I think I did well. Had a good night throwing. Felt good. Ran well. It was just good to get that camp setting back and be back into that, and not having any camps this summer. But yeah, it went very well.
Now, when you talk about obviously not having any camps, and it's a big adjustment. I mean, you take it for granted. Certainly, at least before COVID, we took things like camps and combines for granted. But this camp in particular, now, was that just tonight, or is this a weekend camp?
No, it was just tonight. I think they have a couple more, but no, it was just a one day.
Gotcha.
Ayden, what's been kind of the biggest thing for you, kind of as you first go through the recruiting process? You know, John just mentioned it, but no camps really last summer. What are some things you've learned kind of in the initial stages of the recruiting process about kind of what to expect and kind of what you're hoping for over these next couple months?
Patience, honestly, that's the biggest thing I've learned. It's a long, confusing, emotional, I guess you could say, process. I don't know. Especially with the COVID year, seniors. A lot of schools are, they're having seniors in college getting the year back, and so many different things with COVID. They're still figuring it out on their end. A lot too. So it's just kind of staying patient and just trusting yourself and I don't know, just understanding like where I'm meant to be is where I'll end up being regardless. So just staying patient with all that.
And obviously, you had a terrific fall two season. You guys went undefeated, won the MVC, the inaugural MVC Cup. You won the MVC Large. Talk a little bit about that fall two experience. What was it like for you, for your teammates? When I spoke to Coach Adamopoulos earlier tonight on the coaches chat, he talked about how it was stressful.
Yeah.
How was it for you guys as players?
Yeah. I mean, we were all kind of just grateful to be playing, which I think is the main thing that I think we all took from it. I think we all kind of found a different love for the game. Just having it back. It took a year and a half off, but no, like Coach A said, it was stressful. We all had to make sure we were on top of everything, and every time you had a little cough, you were kind of worrying because everyone was a little on edge because you didn't want to be the guy to shut everything down. You didn't want to, you know what I mean? You didn't want to ruin it for everyone else. So everyone was kind of really on top of it. I think that was something we, as a team did good was making sure we were wearing our masks wherever we went, and even outside of Central and outside of practice, being good with that.
Ayden, where did you feel like this year in particular, again, it was kind of a weird fall two season, but where did you feel like you made the biggest strides in your game?
I think my accuracy and maybe more my not decision making, but reading coverages and understanding what's going on. My sophomore year, I mean, I was pretty accurate kid, but I think that was another area I took the next step in was that, and just understanding what I was seeing as a sophomore. And it's my first year varsity year, figuring a lot out on the fly, and everything's moving fast. And this year felt a lot slower for me, so that was like good to feel and see.
Ayden, you talked about obviously improving your accuracy and processing the game and better understanding coverages and what you were seeing. How much has the work you've put in the offseason with M2 Quarterback Academy helped you out?
That's helped me out a ton. My guy Mike, he's the man. Yeah, that's the spot to get better. He's helped me out so much. I probably started with him spring of my sophomore year. Right when everything was starting to open up a little bit with COVID. People were leaving their houses. It was probably around when I started. He's helped me a lot. He's so passionate. He cares. Like you can tell he genuinely cares about getting each person better. And just helping everyone reach their goal. So he's been a huge help.
And what's it like working with Coach Sexton? I know he's the offensive coordinator, and I know obviously Coach Adamopoulos is the head coach. But what's it been like working with Coach Sexton, and kind of what's the relationship like between you two?
Yeah, Coach Sexton's my guy. He's the man. He's helped me out a ton too. He said being the OC and the quarterback coach, me and him really have to be on the same page at all times. And I think that's something we've done a good job of, is him being able to say, this is what I'm seeing, what are you seeing? Is really it's a healthy relationship. He's the man.
And obviously, you guys had a heck of a season during the fall 2 season, and you bring back a very good skill group.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that, particularly your relationship with Preston Zinter. Obviously, it was Preston's first year in the program. What was that like playing with him? And talk a little bit about the guys you have back and what your expectations are personally, but your expectations collectively.
Yeah. Preston, he was easy to kind of build chemistry with, me and him. I think we're always on the same page a lot of the times. He's just as good as advertised. He deserves every offer he's been getting. So that's been awesome. Having him was a huge help, and he makes my job a lot easier. But then we also got a lot of younger guys stepping up. We have got Justice McGrail coming back, who in a lot of our games we didn't play in the second half, or we didn't play as much, which I think if we had a normal year this year, you would have heard his name a lot more and would have had a bigger year. We got Andrew Lasovsky coming back, who stepped in when Jermaine Wiggins got hurt, and he had a big year. And got Jeff Gogan coming back, who got hurt in our second practice. He was gonna have a big year this year, which was hard to lose. But he'll come back, and we got a couple other guys stepping up. I'm excited about the other guys too. I expect we'll hear more of those names too coming in the fall. I'm excited about our group. I think everyone, all of them are very selfless. They all block. They all attack the ball. They all do the little things well.
And you guys, of course, open up the season with Springfield Central, St. John's Prep, St. John's Shrewsbury. Talk a little bit about how those 3 games are going to be a pretty good barometer for you guys to see what you could potentially be in 2021.
Yeah, those will be huge games. Those are all 3 big-time teams, and going to be big-time games that'll set the tone really for our season. Those are the games we love. I love those games, the ones are going to be competitive, and you have to give it your best, or you're going to lose. Those will all be fun games, and playing those teams again will be fun. The Springfield Centrals, the St. John's Prep, playing those teams again, I'm looking forward to.
Just to piggyback off John's point, Ayden, you guys play in a really good league. Teams, North Andover won a Super Bowl a couple of years ago, and Tewksbury is always in contention in Division III. But I'm sure it was still tough in terms of the fact that there were obviously teams outside your league this past season that I'm sure you would have loved to get the chance to play. That people were talking about. How eager are you in the fall to get the chance to go up against those teams, like John just said, in terms of being able to show off your abilities against some of the other better teams outside your league? How excited are you for that opportunity?
Yeah, I can't wait for that. I mean, it'll be awesome. Playing some of those outer league games, those are fun. We always get their best, and they always get our best, and I feel like those are usually some of the more anticipated games, and there's a little bit more hype around those games because it isn't the same teams we play every year. Just looking forward to that, the atmosphere of it.
And obviously, the recruiting process is a challenging process, but an exciting process. It's an exciting time in your life. Talk a little bit about what that process has been like for you. And before we get into the preparation that goes into getting yourself to a place where you can get offers, but what has the process been like for you? Go walk us through that a little bit.
Yeah. My recruiting process probably started a little bit more summer going into my sophomore year. I started going to the 1-day camps, and I didn't have any varsity film at that point yet. So it was all just kind of gaining interest from schools and getting schools to like me, and just getting my name out from there. And then after I had the sophomore season, that's when I started getting more coaches that kind of started reaching out and showing like legit interest, and ended up, I think, like maybe one of like the last month before we graduated, so maybe like May, I got my first offer from Colorado State, and then a couple weeks later I got Marshall, and then that's been it so far. It's just been, it's been crazy talking to a lot of schools, and then COVID hit, which was, that was tough with having the delayed season, not going a long time without having any new film, and it's been up and down. It's been twists and turns. It's been all of it. It's been everything you can think of. Yeah, but I mean, grateful for everything.
Now, do you plan on visiting those campuses? Is that something that's in the works?
Yeah, I plan on visiting Colorado State sometime, maybe like 2 weeks from now. That's all in the works, and then working it around my camp schedule and stuff, and still putting that all together.
And how tough is, I mean, in like the era of social media, right, where it feels like everyone's trying to almost one up one another on social media, whether it be Twitter or Instagram.
Yeah.
How competitive does the recruiting process get in terms of seeing other kids at your position that maybe or have competed in camps with, participated in camps with? When you see them get offers, or when you yourself get an offer, does it feel like a competition, knowing that schools that recruit in this area maybe only have only so many quarterback spots? Do you feel like you're almost recruiting against other kids in the area for certain schools?
I mean, I guess in ways. I mean, I try not to worry too much about, oh, this kid's getting offered by here and I'm not, and I don't get wrapped up in that, to be honest with you. I'm just really focused on myself, and well, honestly, whatever anyone else gets, that's good for them. They've worked for it. Everyone works very hard, and they deserve that as well. I mean, there obviously are some like kids I see get offered, and maybe I'm like, oh, I think I'm better than that kid, or you know what I mean. Like there's like that stuff, but it's never like anything bitter, anything like any negative competition. It's more, I'm just more focused on myself and finding where I fit, and I know that wherever school I get, or wherever school gets me, is gonna get a winner and someone that works their tail off every day. So I'm just looking for that. I'm just focused on myself, to be completely honest with you.
How challenging has it been during this time of COVID for you? And I've talked to players I've coached, and I've talked to coaches about this, but how challenging was it for you to stay in game shape during the lockdown last spring and going into last summer, and keeping your mind focused on the big picture, which is obviously helping out your team, currently Central Catholic, but also eventually achieving the goals you want to achieve as a potential D1 athlete?
Yeah, for me, it honestly wasn't that hard. It was, I knew that time was gonna make or break people. When you had every excuse in the world to not work out and not get better and not stay in shape, that was what's gonna make or break everyone. So for me, just keeping that in mind, and I knew football was coming back at some point. We weren't gonna go forever without it, so it was challenging in the sense of not playing was just challenging. Finding out we're going to get delayed, it was just like a bummer, but it wasn't really a lose motivation thing, a stop working type of thing for me.
And what's one particular aspect of your game that you're really kind of focusing on improving between the spring and summer as we head towards the fall? Is there one particular aspect of your game that you feel like you've been giving a fair amount of time to?
I mean, I wouldn't say one particular. I say everything. I mean, everyone has room to improve, so I'm really just focused on improving everything: accuracy, decision making, reading a defense, getting bigger, faster, everything.
When you're going through the recruiting process, obviously everybody thinks about the playing part of that process, and the offers you're getting, and where the school is, what level it is, and you think about how you're going to fit into all of these schools that are talking to you and offering you. But for you personally, beyond football, how important is the academic piece to you? And not that every kid's going to tell you it's important, but for you personally, is it going to be one of the deciding factors in terms of where you end up?
I mean, it is important to me, the academic piece of it, because hopefully make it to the NFL. But there's always a chance it doesn't, solid chance it doesn't, and need a good education to lay back on. So it is a big factor, but I wouldn't say it's a deal breaker or a swinging factor, I guess. Something I do look at. It is something I think about, but it isn't necessarily a deal breaker for me for a school that doesn't have great academics, I guess. Yeah, that's what.
So for you, it's more about the fit, right? The fit personally, the schematical fit,
Yes.
fitting in with the coaches. I mean, that's a big part of it.
That's most of it. It's what you said, fitting with the coaches, fitting in the offense, which is a big piece, and just me personality wise with the school. Me fitting in as a normal student is a place I'm going to be at for the next 3 to 5 years. Fitting in as if I was an everyday college student. Fitting in with my environment, yeah, that's very important to me, and then the academics piece too.
And you go to a school that sent so many players and so many kids off to play college football. Who have you primarily been kind of leaning on throughout the start of this process, and as you kind of get right into the thick of it, for guidance, advice, support? Who have you mostly been turning to kind of help you through a process which I'm sure has been already pretty stressful?
Yeah, Coach A and Coach Sexton. Coach A's been the man with it. He works his tail off for me with recruiting and reaching out to schools, and he always shoots me straight with how a school's thinking.
Well, he's Greek. That's how we roll.
Yeah, he's just, I don't know. He's been helping me. If I need advice on anything recruiting, he's the man I usually go to, and he usually knows pretty much what to do. And he is he's good in the sense where it'll be like a discussion more as him telling me what he thinks I should do. He's open. He knows every situation is different, especially now. So he's been someone I've been leaning on.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because when I was a head football coach, I took pride in that. I felt that it was important to be honest with my players in assessing what I thought, their potential was, and the level that I thought they could play. And I was coming at it from the perspective of I had coached college football, so I kind of had been on both sides of the table. You mentioned the amount of time that Coach Adamopoulos is putting into this process for you, but how important is that input to you from the standpoint of, obviously he's going to tell you what he thinks, he's going to shoot you straight, but you want that, right? As a player, I mean, you want that honest assessment, and sometimes, because I think sometimes kids take that personal, but you don't strike me as the kind of kid that if coach says, hey, you know what, I'm not sure this is the best situation for you, you don't strike me as the kind of kid that would take that personal.
No, I mean, it's what I want. It's what you need to hear. And at the end of the day, Coach is only there to help me. And you can only get better if he's telling you what you need to work on. And quite honestly, that's what Central's kind of about. If you can't, football piece of it, you got to be able to take the brutally honest. If you can't, they're not going to sugarcoat anything with you. And outside of recruiting, football-wise, if you're messing up, nothing's going to be sugar-coated. So you got to be able to handle that. And if you can, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle for you if you take things personally. And, it's kind of like what they built there. And it's just what we're used to, I guess.
And you're playing in a school that's got such great, history, like John said, won Super Bowls, been to plenty of Super Bowls, always playing the top programs around. How have you kind of handled the pressure of kind of following the footsteps of some quarterbacks before you that were great and went on to play college football? How have you kind of been able to navigate that, being someone who came along and was starring at the position at such a young age?
Yeah. I don't know. I know I'm different than all of them. I'm kind of just being myself. If I'm being completely honest, I didn't know most of those guys. I didn't find out about Central Catholic till like maybe midway through my 8th grade year. If I'm being completely honest with you.
No, we appreciate honesty.
So I didn't really, grow up knowing or going to the Central Catholic high school games and watching those guys. I don't know. I've kind of just been myself, and working out okay for me so far.
Ayden, earlier we talked about the process. So talk a little bit about what your summer looks like. Before you start your senior year at Central Catholic, what is Ayden Pereira's summer looking like in terms of camps and doing what you need to do to continue to get recruited?
Yeah, so I'm working out with M2 twice a week right now. And then I'm throwing with my receivers another 1 or 2 times a week, and then I'm lifting 3 to 4 times a week, and I try and get some film in once or twice a week and run once or twice a week and what different stuff like that. I'm trying to put on another 5 pounds, gets one, another 5, and then my camp schedule next week. I'm going to Liberty the 12th for their camp, and then I'm taking a visit the next day, the 13th. And then the following week, there's a camp at Springfield College with a ton of schools and different.
Yeah, that's a tremendous camp, actually.
I'm going to that one. And then the second half of my June is kind of open. I've got a couple schools in mind that I'm thinking about going to camp at, but haven't signed up for anything. And I'm kind of leaving it open just in case, some other schools come along and are like, oh, that I'm not thinking of. They're coming along and want me to go in camp. So I'm leaving that open right now.
Now that Springfield that Springfield camp, I believe Colorado State is going to be at that camp, correct?
Last I checked, I don't think they are.
Oh, okay, I know that they're going to be in the area. I wasn't sure
Yeah.
if that was the camp or
I think
if
they're
they were going to be at one of the other camps, but I thought I saw that they were going to be in the area. Speaking of Colorado State and that part of the process, obviously Coach Adazio, former coach at Boston College, knows the area well. It's no secret now. All of a sudden, Massachusetts, New England, there's a lot more eyes on the kids that are playing high school football in Massachusetts in this region. But talk a little bit about how that process has gone with you dealing with Colorado State.
Yeah, they've been great. They were the first school to offer me, first school to, kind of get it rolling and believe in me. Yeah, that's been a long process. So they kind of started getting interested in me when they were at BC still. When I was a freshman or summer going to my sophomore year, I did the camp at BC. And at that point, they weren't allowed to talk to me or anything. So they had called Coach A after that camp there and said that they liked me, but I never really heard anything from them. And then I remember towards the end of the year, they reached out again to Coach A, and then I was hoping to talk to them a little bit, and then they all ended up going to Colorado State, and then didn't hear anything from them for a couple weeks, and then kind of reached out a little bit again, and I don't know, it's been awesome. They've been recruiting me they were recruiting me, and Coach A helped out a lot with that for a while before I got the offer, and then they've been awesome. They've, with the weird year not being able to get down for a while, they've been nice, and talking with them and doing the best they can. So that's been a great fit, and I'm excited to get down to see it in person, meet everyone for myself in person too.
Yeah, there's been a lot of people that have been telling you that Fort Collins is a great place to go to. So
I know.
you need to start asking for places to eat there, buddy. You need to start asking what some of the good spots are.
Yeah.
Grub is key. The good grub spots are key. It could factor into your decision, right?
Yeah. We had I forget his name. So if you're listening, I'm sorry I'm forgetting your name, but we had an interviewer at pretty much every one of our games, and every time he interviewed me, he brought it up, and he usually said something about it after every interview. So it's nice. It honestly helps too, getting down and getting the sense of the area.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a beautiful part of the country, and I was out there a couple of years ago. I mean, I think you'll love it, but you're right. I think it does matter. I mean, because again, as we talked about earlier, comfort, right? You want to feel comfortable. Yeah, as you said, Ayden, it's the next 3 to 5 years of your life, and you want to feel comfortable in that environment. And that'll help you feel like, you know what? Hey, I made the right decision both on the field and off the field.
Right. Yeah, because I think the biggest thing you see kids do and athletes do is they think about just the football piece of it. And then they end up getting there and they don't like being an actual student. They end up being miserable. It's something I've done a good job not allowing myself to do. Obviously, football is the main thing, but you're going to be a student there for the next 3 to 5 years. You gotta make sure you like the campus. You got to make sure you're going to like being a student there.
Ayden, do you have any sort of, you mentioned earlier at the start in terms of, how important you've learned it is to be patient. Do you have some sort of timetable in mind, though, of when you'd like to know, where you're going to spend your next 4 years before the season starts, or do you really not care and you're totally willing to take your time?
Yeah, I'm thinking early July to end of summer. I mean, if I have to go early into fall, maybe the first 3 games of the season, I will. But ideally, is early July to end of the summer.
And last question from me. Obviously, you're embarking on your senior season. What are your goals for this season outside of your personal goals? What are your collective goals for Central Catholic?
Championship's the only goal. My grade, my class, our freshman team went undefeated, and since then we were talking about getting 3. We didn't get one my sophomore year. Guy got hurt, and we lost to St. John's in semis, and then this year we didn't have a state final. So a lot of it will feel, I don't know, a lot of what I did will feel unfinished or not. I don't know. Not as much value, I guess, if I don't finish with a state championship. So that's really the only goal I have, is to get that state championship. I need at least one.
Let me tell you, my friend, it's a great feeling. I was fortunate enough to go back-to-back as an offensive coordinator, and it's nice to have a couple of rings. I hope it works out for you, man. Ayden, thank you for taking the time to join us tonight. We really appreciate it. Good luck with the process, and we're looking forward to see how things play out for you.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Good luck, man.
All righty, Ayden. Thank you for your time. That was Ayden Pereira, quarterback from Central Catholic. Well, that'll do it for this week's episode of The Recruiting Visit. Join me and Matt again next week for our next episode of The Recruiting Visit. For Matt Feld, I'm John Saranitas. Until then, peace.